I call the member for Fowler.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I held a forum recently with various stakeholders in my Fowler electorate, from childcare providers, workers, vocational education and training providers, teachers, social workers, just to name a few, to gauge and to understand what challenges they were facing. One of the key issues they raised was skills and workforce shortages, and the fact that our system actually impedes rather than assists them in unblocking the skills and workforce pipeline. I want to provide some insights from my community of Fowler so that we can hear how the Jobs and Skills Australia Board, a system that the government is setting up, needs to make sure they're not another layer of bureaucracy that would really create another blockage to this pipeline. One of our local school principals from Cabramatta High School, Lachlan Erskine, shared with me some of the demand for VET courses, which is the Vocational Education Educational Training courses at the school. Unlike many other high schools in Fowler, Cabramatta High offers 6 VET courses. This VET opportunity is a fantastic pathway for many of our students, the majority from refugee and migrant backgrounds. Yet, teachers in schools are constantly asked to upskill and attend training for up to between 5 to 15 days, which is a very long time for a teacher to be away from the school. And for teachers, for example, teaching hospitality and have taught hospitality for over 20 years, they still need to attend yearly training. What has really changed in hospitality so much that there is a constant need to send VET teachers to training annually? There is a need to streamline compliance for VET teachers, and this is an issue that needs to be addressed straight away by the JSA board in setting up their scope on how they can be a vehicle to unblock these skills shortages and workforce shortage pipeline. We have seen governing bodies like ASQA, who sets regulations for RTO and VET courses and Skills IQ for childcare, constantly changing the course and skill set requirements in these sectors. I have no doubt there are good intentions in ensuring we have exceptional quality and performance when delivering these in these sectors. But surely there are opportunities to refine the system so that the system doesn't put immense pressure on trainers and assessors and people working in the sector to be constantly retrained, causing so much administrative burden, costs and time on the sectors. Recognition of prior learning is also important. Some VET teachers are asked to undergo training, which as a teacher they are already required to know. For example, administration skills, digital literacy skills. This put a huge administrative burden on VET teachers in schools, where they have to upload evidence for each student so they can be assessed. They are already teachers and they have the skills to do this. Surely this must be eliminated so that teachers can teach VET courses in the school environment to enable those students to get the skills and nurturing them so that they can have the skills required so that they can enter the workforce to help plug the skills gap. I have no doubt that what I just painted is just a small picture of how our system and bureaucracy can cause such bottleneck in our ability to release the skills and workforce shortages in our economy. My community of Fowler, and I have no doubt across the country, are currently facing and feeling the pain of the cost of living from the skills shortages, the rising rents, rising interest rates, cost of food and fuel, cost of forcing businesses and community to transition to zero emissions, the impact of migration on housing, the environment and jobs, more businesses, just to name a few. I can't help but feel somewhat cynical when organisations rebrand, as that would only add to the cost of delivering outcomes. That said, I would urge the newly rebranded Jobs and Skills Australia Board to really ensure that there will not be another governing body that will add layers of bureaucracy, stifling the ability for our economic engine to kickstart. In Fowler, manufacturing is our largest employer. Almost 40% of our population is employed in the manufacturing sector, compared to 5.9% of the Australia's workforce in this sector. So I would like to remind the House that we have seen the grit and resilience of my community in Fowler and the potentials and capabilities in powering this state and this country through the COVID lockdown. They were the construction workers, the factory workers, packaging goods and foods. They were the truck drivers and deliverers. They were the nurses, the childcare workers and aged care workers. Our community is unlike any other that you'll find in Australia, with more than 170,000 people from over 70 different ethnicities. We most certainly have the human capacity here in Fowler. We in Fowler and South West Sydney are the economic engine of Australia. If we want to grow manufacturing in this country, for instance, we need to invest in local manufacturing and encourage our local manufacturers to take risks to build their businesses here, especially in areas like Fowler, where there's a large manufacturing region. And to ensure we have a thriving and productive manufacturing sector to support workers, we must have the manufacturing skills required to do this. That means investing in young people, those who don't see a future in tertiary education but need a pathway to tap into their skills to contribute back to building our society. It is therefore critical that Jobs and Skills Australia Board work with TAFE and other local educational institutions to empower young people to learn the skills to produce and make products. I have spoken with local representatives from TAFE in my area as well, and they have told me that they are plagued constantly with enrolment issues, processes and procedures at the administrative level that are failing and causing problems for students, especially in an area with high migrant and English as a second language. So there's no point in creating boards if we aren't addressing the problems at a grassroots level. Our kids need a pathway to be able to enrol into TAFE courses, and not just for our youth, but those adults who want to upskill, or those migrants whose overseas qualifications do not get the recognition they deserve in Australia. These highly skilled individuals can surely be tapped into and enable their skills to be transferred so that they can have the dignity in building their lives here in this new country. Now, if these people can't enrol into TAFE, and we are providing hundreds and hundreds of free TAFE courses, then how are they going to access these courses? So how will Jobs and Skills Australia Board help them? Then we have to also consider the vocational training sector, which has been outsourced to RTOs that are needed to lodge an apprenticeship, and then nothing happens from there. If RTOs are needed to lodge and organise an apprentice or placements, this service should see the process from start to finish, not part of the way. What are we paying an RTO if they cannot even enrol the student into TAFE to complete the process when signing an apprentice, an apprentice? The system lacks the staff and motivation to get things going, it seems. I don't see this behaviour in private sector, and frankly, it will not be tolerated. So as we talk about the increasing number of TAFE courses, which is great, both the state government has announced and, of course, the federal government has announced in its budget, I really urge our government to look at how these free courses can be accessed, and that people in an electorate like Fowler, where English is a second language, can actually access them and not just be promoting as having free courses when we can't access them. We need to make training resources easier for students and employers and those needing it, and not introduce complex processes that is just time wasting. Jobs and Skills Australia must respond to the current jobs and skills crisis. It must have a plan to get Australians working, skilled, trained and empowered to build a society that is connected, knowledgeable and ready to seize opportunities and face challenges. The plan must have measures and take the community along. While we have below average in adult literacy in my electorate of Fowler, I'm encouraged that many of our young students, with the dedication and commitment from our local teachers, are building on their digital literacy skills as well as their knowledge of STEMs. And it goes without saying, for a diverse community like Fowler, we need the right support and advice that speaks to people from multicultural, diverse and migrant communities. I imagine a future Australia where my community in Fowler is the global leader in many areas: manufacturing, digital, in technology. We are and be a proud producer of Australian-made goods and a change maker in the digital and STEM space. So I think that's important that Jobs and Skills Australia board represents the diversity of my community while representing the challenges and opportunities we face every single day. I really would ask Jobs and Skills Australia board, once it's been formed and established, to really visit me in Fowler and see how unique our community is, and see there are skills there, and with a high unemployment rate of 10%, which is 3 times the national average, that there is something that we can do to address that unemployment rate and bring it down. And I will welcome the opportunity to show Jobs and Skills Board members, and of course the Minister as well, welcome him to come out and look at our area so that we can actually get solutions from the community. So from my experience, speaking to our local community at the grassroots level is a key important thing that we need to do to get the solutions to address the jobs and skills shortages here in our country. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Fowler. And